Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Puckin Dirty. My name is David and I'm the host of this pod, and I'm happy to have CBJ fan Matthew Stalter here on today.
Hello.
Newly hired, ready to, serve the working world again. 9 to 5, work down to those knuckle bones. He's ready. He's ready to work again.
I'm ready to get back on my horse and make some fucking money.
Pull yourself up by those bootstraps. Whatever. But this is Puckin Dirty, and we are a hockey podcast for the Dirty J Sports Network, primarily covering, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Florida Panthers, CBJ when Matt comes on, and any kind of hockey pop culture out there. If you're interested by that, then you should definitely check out our socials. We're at Dirty J Hockey and at Dirty J Sports for Ryan and our boys over there. We post pretty frequently. I kind of just post whatever, is cool and happening in the hockey world that day. So pretty fun. Matt, I know I kind of just alluded to it. You got, in your last week since we've talked, you've potentially got a job. That's pretty cool, pretty big in your...
Yeah, I got an offer for an engineering position, and I'm considering it, and I have to work through the details of the contract, but it should be a good fit for me.
That's good. Got to get back on the horse there. Get some money. Fix your car. Really
my car's being fixed, but
that's good. That's definitely good. Honestly, I didn't really do all that much last week. I did celebrate Thanksgiving with my parents because they're going to frickin' Bahamas for Thanksgiving. Kind of ridiculous, I know, but also kind of sneaky, honestly, sneaky good. Thanksgiving, you're with your that's going to be an empty resort. You're usually with your family kind of thing. So it's I feel like that's a sneaky good idea on their part.
Yeah, traveling might be terrible for them, but once they get there, it should be paradise.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know how bad the travel is to Bahamas. I know you're going to have to connect in Florida, but I'd like to just shout that out. I think that's kind of sneaky, sneaky that's cool.
Good move right there.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I've traveled for Thanksgiving numerous times going to college in Florida, and it sucked every time. It's always people inconsiderate and a little bit too full, and that was even before COVID, so I don't even know how much worse it'd be.
I'm not looking forward to the ride over to Ohio. I'm going to be in Columbus for Thanksgiving, and maybe I'll catch a Jackets game Friday night.
Dude, you should go. That'd be legit.
My tickets plug, aka my dad, he's boycotting the Jackets big time this year.
Because they suck so bad, or?
Yeah, and I'm like, Dad, but they won a couple games, but we'll get into that later.
Hey, I mean, we could talk about it right now a little bit. We could actually transition to hockey talk here. So you mentioned CBJ, but yeah, we'll get to them in their little section here. But I have a few little happenings around the league. Fourth overall, Shane Wright, 4th overall pick. He was actually demoted to the AHL on a conditioning stint. I think he has maybe an assist through 8 games so far. Definitely, I feel like it's one of those things where it's talk shit, get hit kind of thing. And he has, okay, so I have his stats here. In 7 games played, he only has 1 assist. His numbers, Corsi doesn't look great, but his time on ice is also awful, so that's not a huge deal in such a small sample size, but talk shit, get hit. It's he said that before the draft, he's I deserve to be 1st overall. I deserve to have this honor. I don't know if you remember that. He said it during the summer, and right now, I mean, it's not like Slavovsky has looked great in Montreal. He also got suspended, I think, and he just finished serving that suspension. But I feel like maybe it's a distraction for Shane Wright.
I'm thinking, with the young guys and the speed of the league right now, Shane Wright might have not been NHL ready quite yet, so that could be a reason they sent him down.
He's only 18. He is still extremely young. Not everyone comes into the league and
is an immediate impact.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, Slavoski is only on that team because Montreal sucks and they don't really have any depth. I think he's a winger too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Who was taken third? Was that Kent Johnson?
Good question.
Or was that last year? I can't keep the draft straight. That's
Logan Cooley was taken third by the Coyotes, and Simon Nemec was taken second by the Devils. Holy shit, that's right. The Devils drafted second overall.
And they're looking like one of the favorites to win the cup right now.
Yeah, they're on a 13-game heater right now, and that's crazy. Well, but we could talk about that in a second. But Shane Wright, I mean, I call it a hero to zero moment. You know, he kind of looks like an ass. It's like even more so. It's like if you back it up, you're cocky, but if you don't back it up, you kind of just look like an ass. And hockey kind of doesn't really like take that kind of like culture well. You know what I mean? Like
it's a very like gentlemanly game off the ice, and you show like your opponent respect and your competitors respect, like through and through in hockey. And like what he said, based off just what you're saying, is pretty arrogant, pretty cocky. Seems like he might not be NHL ready quite yet, and he was a little over his head.
True. NHL ready could also mean mentally. You know, he might be there physically, you're right, but if he's not mature enough to handle the side of the game that, you know, like Sidney Crosby could handle at that age, you know.
Yeah,
he's not ready. But yeah, sucks for him. So Seattle, I think they're not going to rush into anything. I don't like if I had a trajectory for him, I'd say within the next 2 years he'd probably be a regular on their team.
For sure.
I feel like Seattle is just impressing, at least me, but most people in the hockey world right now. And I think they're winning more games than they should. So I think it's another reason they're not going to like rush him. There's no like if they're in win now mode, I'd be surprised. Like I truly don't think they're built for that, but they're definitely surprising people.
Yeah, like no offense to Ryan, but the Crackheads, I don't think they're a playoff team still. And down the stretch, we'll see how they really like react under pressure and see if they could keep holding together these wins.
Yeah, and if it's like if holding together wins, if it's being held together by anyone, it's Martin Jones, who is playing out of his fucking mind right now.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I talked shit on him before, and like I remember him in that Stanley Cup Finals. He was a tough nut to crack, so to speak. He was really a good competitor, a good goalie. Like that team was very good when we played the Sharks. I just felt like they couldn't score with us, which is
I think
a huge factor.
The Pens, I remember, I rooted against the Pens in that back-to-back series.
Yeah, fuck you.
Sorry, but
it's okay.
The Sharks that year were a great team that could have won the cup, but the Pens got in their way. And
I mean, yeah, the Pens that year were definitely one of the best teams assembled within the last 5 years, even
maybe even 10. But
yeah, like seriously, that team was insane. Yeah, and fuck you for rooting for him, but I'm rooting for him now. Go get some shutouts for me. Keep my fantasy team beating Dunkel. That's all that matters. So that was a pretty far tangent from the original topic here, but my next topic I have is Hossa. His number was retired. I was against the Pens against when Malkin had his 1,000th game played, so I was like, oh, this is kind of weird.
There was two different events going on at the same time.
For Chicago's defense, like, why would they care about the opposing player? But in the same token, it's like, Jesus, he played 1,000 games with the Pens. And on another side of this weird shaped token, I guess they probably want to let the Pens do their own thing. At home for Gino, show him the respect.
Did they give him the silver stick in that game?
No, not in Chicago. No, maybe for when we go back home to Pittsburgh, maybe. But yeah. So that was odd, and that game was a 5-3 game where the Pens went up 3-0 on them. They came back, so I was like, oh shit, this game's actually interesting. But then Pens eventually won 5-3. That was a pretty good game.
Yeah, I might have missed that one. I'm pretty sure that was Sunday. I was watching the NFL.
Yeah, I'll go into it more when we get to the Penguins corner here. My last real impressive note or whatever note of substance is that the Devils are on a 13-game heater here. Like I feel like they're a legit team. I feel like they're missing Palat as well, who is another player that could make a huge impact when it comes to playoffs. I think last week we discussed this a little bit about Palat. I think he's a good leader to have, and honestly, I don't know what his injury was, but giving him a little time off after 2 years or 3 years of going deep in the playoffs might not be the worst thing.
I think the Devils, like, their goaltending situation, like Vanacek, he's been a stud. Like, whoever got him in fantasy is pretty lucky.
Pat has him. I almost picked him up too. I might even told Pat to do it. Like, that's the shitty part. I helped Pat, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna lose because of this. But yeah, I think Vanacek's legit. I agree. And Blackwood, I think I don't know if he's been playing actually, but
yeah, I'm not sure. But Devils all around look like a solid team. I don't know. They've won 13 straight games. There's not much bad things to say about them.
I mean, yeah, their depth scoring's there. So they have this guy named Akira Schmidt. He is 3-0 this season. 941 save percentage, 134 goals against. So kind of playing out of this world. Last year he actually played 6 games in the NHL. 4 he started, and he lost all 4 of them with complete garbage stats. So this dude's a young Swiss goalie. Maybe he's also, kind of having a coming out party here. But Vanacek is legit. He's 9-1 with a 214 goals against, and they don't even pay these guys combined $4 million. So
I mean, it's hard to when you got Dougie Hamilton and the offensive talent that you have on the Devils.
And I mean, they still got to pay
big contracts, but
they're gonna have to pay Jesper too.
Yeah, have they paid Jack yet?
Yes, that was the 8-year deal or whatever, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this team's legit. I really do. Someone had to get knocked down in the Metro between the Pens, the Capitals, like some of these older teams, and
the Islanders.
Eventually, someone comes knocking. Actually, the Islanders are doing well.
Yeah, they're like,
believe it or not,
they're hot. I have more to talk about them later on, but
I think you mentioned the goalie. I also think their goalies, while they're playing well, are their biggest question. They are just getting what they need from their goalies. It's just making the saves that don't put you in a hole, so you don't have to play more desperate style of hockey. And I think that's good. I mean, I've been seeing that more from Jari at this point too. I'd like to see more from the Smith in that, but I think they're just making the easy saves, the simple saves, and the team's just so good at scoring right now. Like it's easy for them. I mean, 3 people on their team have above 20 points. Bratt, Heishier, and Hughes. And then, I mean, honestly, they're just Dougie Hamilton, Tatar, Miles Wood. They're all just contributing at a decent clip that really, makes them good.
It sustains the depth scoring, in my opinion.
And while we're on them, we can discuss some of these games that happened last night while we're at it. They played the Oilers last night, and I actually bet on this game. Oh man, my dogs are freaking out. I bet the Oilers to cover the spread, and they didn't. The Devils won 5-2. Vanacek was the first star. Hischier with 3 assists was the second star, and Tatar was the third.
Oh man,
I watched a decent bit of this game, and the Oilers just didn't look good. I need to find Stuart Skinner. He was in net, and I think it was for the second goal. He just misplayed the puck so poorly. They just had a tap-in goal, and from there I could tell, I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of these kind of games for the Oilers, and it was. They just weren't getting bounces, weren't looking good. McDavid really never got started. Draisaitl as well. It's just
when those guys aren't firing, the Oilers are in deep shit, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And funny enough, I think Dunkel just dropped him. That Burchard guy finally got on the point, or on the A point after a while. I'm pretty sure he was
like 10 games at least. I was eyeing him up on the trading block, but elected for a different defenseman who got hurt.
So with the win, that brings the Devils up to 16-3, and it drops the Oilers to 10-9. I mean, the Oilers are definitely not this powerhouse team people thought they were going to be. They're kind of struggling above 500 here, and really they shouldn't be, I feel like. But at the same time, they should be. Like they spent all this money on McDavid and Draisaitl. They just don't have cap to pay other people.
And the people that they're paying aren't getting like the job done, basically.
Yeah.
Their defense needs help. I mean, their goalie situation's been streaky.
Dude, their goalies are bad. Like I can't even like defend any of the Stuart Skinner, and
Jack Campbell.
I just feel like Jack Campbell overachieved one year. Kind of like the Hamburglar. Like, if you remember him, how he came in for the Sens and won, 21 games in a row, and then he's been, in the AHL ever since. It's just, I got the same kind of vibes from that.
Too bad you weren't in the Oilers signing office.
Yeah. Well, they probably wouldn't listen anyway. Like, who's this crazy guy, and why is he naked holding a sign that says, don't sign
Jack Campbell.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, free agency, while is a great source, it can also hurt you pretty badly, especially if you're trying to compete for cups, they're obviously trying to compete,
These guys' primes, like McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
They're in the prime of their career.
Getting
McDavid's
wasted.
might be a little bit longer of a prime because of his natural talent, but, you can't win games with only 2 players. That's why there's a 22-man roster. And
one of the things that I've been critical of the Pens, that I'll be critical of the Oilers, is just being tough defensively. The league is different where, you can score at will, but so can every other team. So you have to find a way to shut down people. You have to, to the Devils' credit, they shut down McDavid. He had 1 assist, and Draisaitl would have 1 goal. These guys, for their stat line, did not play well. And for their ability,
Yeah.
they did not play well. And I mean, it's just a different type of game, and I agree you can't spend that much money and, expect to win Stanley Cups. I mean, at the time, I'm not sure if Sid and Gino technically took pay cuts when they were, going back-to-back, but
I mean, in my opinion,
a lot.
I think Taves and Kane's baseline definitely set a standard for the rest of the league that might not have been accurate and might not have been the smart move.
Well, that's fair.
And I think other players see Taves and Kane getting paid that much, and we're like, hey, I'm better than these two. You got to pay me more, or I'm going somewhere that will.
I'm not sure what % of the cap they signed for at the time. I really do think it was something crazy. I think it was only 72 million or something, versus 80. So, for when McDavid signed, it was probably 76. So it's just taking up that much cap. It's really tough to win. It really is.
I could see it for maybe like one player, but both Draisaitl and McDavid.
Well, especially if you're going to miss
a fourth of your cap space.
Yeah, and when you miss on all of your drafts and like trading, like granted, Evander Kane being hurt kind of like sucks, like really bad for them.
Big time, yeah.
And he like slit his wrist, so he's out for a while.
Yeah, I saw that. That was wild.
Yeah, I watched like him like react. I was like, oh god, like that's so terrible like best wishes to him. Like, no matter what you think about him on or off the ice, having your wrist sliced open in front of people is awful. So
yeah, and like credit to all the players on the ice that like saw that. I think it was like Pat Maroon or someone.
Yeah, of course.
And he like saw it and like skated to the bench right away and was like, "Holy shit! Like this guy needs
attention
ASAP," because he was bleeding bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're definitely missing him, but other than that, dude, unless they make like a crazy move, I just don't know if they'll even make playoffs at this point. Like I'll say it. I mean, like McDavid and like they fucking are carrying them. Like I want to like pull up these stats. It's awful. Warren Fogle, first line, 4 points. McDavid has 35. Hyman has 19. Nugent Hopkins, second line. This is second line, has 21 points. Draisaitl has 31, and this is where they missed on one of their draft picks. Is Puljujärvi. He has 1 goal, 3 assists through 19 games.
Oh man!
They drafted him 4th overall in 2016.
I remember people were high on him in the draft.
And it's just if you miss on the draft and you like, I mean he's 24, so he's young, but like doesn't seem like he fits in, and he's never really played well there. Their third line, Matthias Janmark has 1 point through 5. Ryan McLeod, I think how you pronounce it. Is that how you say it?
I don't know. McLeod,
I know there was one.
Right?
There was one dude who was like a fighter long ago. His name was like McLeod. I remember. But yeah, this guy has through 19 games 5 points. Their other dude, Clem Costin, has 0 points through 4 games. This Dylan Holloway dude on their fourth line has 2 through 15. Brian Malone 0 through 2. Derek Ryan 3 through 18.
Yeah, like if
one's scoring.
If McDavid and Draisaitl have more points than the rest of your team combined,
they've like
that's
combined
sad.
They have like 10 times the points. It's fucking insane.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, and like it's just the roster makeup shit because of like this money being spent where it has to be spent, obviously. And dude, their projected cap hit is like 9.2 million over the cap space too. So it's like if you're getting these results with this team, like something's got to give.
You're in trouble. Like you need to trade one of those big contracts.
Yeah, and I mean,
sign like 2 guys.
You don't trade. You just can't trade McDavid or Draisaitl. I feel like they're just they're your guys, but like
they're the cornerstone of the franchise, basically.
Yeah, and like they just signed, I think, Nuge to a re-up for like 8 years, and Hyman as well. So it's like, who do they move? Like Darnell Nurse is up for a long time. It's tough, and maybe those players that we mentioned are expected to contribute more, but these bottom guys need to do something too.
Do they still have Russell rostered, or did he retire?
He was a defenseman, right?
Yeah.
I don't see him. They have, which definitely hurts, Clefbaum and Kane on IR.
Yeah.
I see that they have buyout penalty for Andre Shakira, and James Neal. Damn.
Oh, they ended up with Neal's contract.
Yeah, that sucks.
No wonder they're in trouble.
Yeah, that's like $3 million, so that definitely eats up quite a bit.
That's like a solid third, fourth liner right there.
Yeah.
Maybe even a second line wing if they're young.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking for a bridge deal or something.
Something better than just eating up nothing. But we've been harping on for a while. They need to put something together here. Not sure if they will. I don't really have trust in their front office.
I have no trust in the Oilers, but I picked them as a playoff team, so I'm gonna hammer that down.
You got to. I mean, yeah. Anyway, moving on. We got a lot of games to go through, so we'll try skimming through some of the more ones. Like this one. Like the Flames beat the Flyers 5-2. Flames are 9-7-2. Flyers are 7-8-4. Don't really care much for this game. I'm glad the Flyers lost.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I have some notes on a Flames player, if you don't mind.
Go for it, yeah.
Elias Lindholm, before last night, he's been on a tear. He has 8 points. He had 8 points in 4 games before last night. I didn't see the score sheet or the game last night, but...
Don't think he had a point.
Calgary, including last night, has won 4 out of the last 5, and Lindholm does great at winning faceoffs and shooting. He has 2 goals and 6 assists in 4 games and is one of the hottest players in the league right now.
Gotta pick him up on fantasy. I think Pat
he's
has
owned
him.
For sure.
Pat probably has him. I feel like Pat always has that dude.
Yeah, I offered him a trade for him and got declined.
Not surprised. Well, I'll keep him on my radar.
But the Flames, I think, are a team to watch. They play fun hockey. They shoot a lot. They're quick. They have one of the sweetest jerseys in the league.
Nice jersey.
I don't know. I think the Flames are definitely a playoff team, and they're stringing together some wins and looking good right now.
I'll save my judgment for the power rankings. I don't have much on them, but I can frame it better during that. But yeah, moving on. Bruins beat the Lightning 5-3. Bruins are 17-2. They sound like a fucking football team. Lightning are
seriously.
11-7-1. I'm pretty sure Bergeron had a something that night. But not surprised. Bergeron has 1,000th point. That's what it was. But not surprised that Boston beat them. They're just... they have 2 losses. Enough said.
I don't know what I was doing sleeping on Boston in the preseason.
Right? They should be expected to win any game they match up with. Yeah.
I'm thinking the way Boston has put together the start of the season, I could see a historic NHL season this season by the Bruins.
If Allmark continues to play well and if Swayman plays decent when he's not there, I do think you might be right here. I do think they could be onto something here. Moving on, Islanders win in OT 3-2 versus the Leafs. Islanders are 12-8. Leafs are 10-5-5. Pretty close game it looks like. The Islanders, I'm pretty sure they're on the up and up here.
I have another player spotlight for the Islanders.
Go for it. Yeah, you got it. Go for it.
Matthew Barzal, before last night, he had 7 points in the last 6, 2 goals, 5 assists. The Isles were streaky, but they went 4-3 in their last 7 before last night. And Sorokin, I have him as a dark horse for the Vezina.
I do like it. They play a good defensive game. Typically, Barzal, I remember Pat was saying, he's like, dude, he has 19 points and no goals. I'm like, Jesus.
That's
guys typical, go all 82, dude. Go all 82. 0-82.
That's like Henrik Sedin level or Daniel Sedin, whichever one got the assist.
I think it was Henrik.
Yeah, I think it was Henrik. I remember one season he had 13 goals and 80 assists or something. It was ridiculous.
Might have been his because I thought he won some hardware for that, but maybe not. But yeah, I do remember that happening. Moving on to the next game, Jets beat the Hurricanes 4-3. I was actually watching this game because I bet on it too. I bet the Jets to cover the spread as the underdog, and they did because they won, obviously. But Jets are definitely a legit team. I think this speaks volumes for the Pens when they beat them 3-0. I think Pens are doing well. I think the Jets are beating the Hurricanes is also showing that the Jets are legit. The Hurricanes actually scored 3 goals in the third. When I was watching this game, I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, but if it went to OT, it didn't really matter. But I was just like, "Oh my god, they're gonna lose, and I'm gonna be so pissed." But
they pulled it out for you, Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
The Jets, I have no players to watch for that, but Jets were one of my sleeper teams at the beginning of the season. I think they're solid all around. They have center depth. They have scoring. Their defense is it's okay, but it's good enough for Hellebuck to just stand on his head all the time.
I say Hellebuck, if you have him back there, you don't have to worry too much. You should still worry, but having him backstop you, I mean, it's pretty damn good. He's one of the best goalies in the league right now. Probably Definitely. Top 3. I might even top 2. I don't even know if I can name 2 goalies better than him, but
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him on my fantasy team because Nick always fucking takes him.
Yeah, Nick loves that dude
Gobbles
for some reason.
Gobbles his ass up.
He's one of those players every year I like to watch and try to get on my fantasy team, but
it's a challenge.
It's never has worked out.
Yeah, it's a challenge when Nick drafts him in the first round. Continuing on, the Avs beat I'm skipping one. The Blues beat the Ducks 3-1. I mean, good. Bennington had a good game. Noel Chari played well, had 2 goals. I miss him on the Panthers. I liked when he was on the Panthers. Well,
yeah, I forgot he was on the Panthers.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I looked this up during work. The Ducks are 5-13-1, and they have 0 regulation wins. All of those wins are in overtime.
Oh my god.
So this team is pretty bad. I mean, they have
Ducks are young.
Losses. They are young, and they have more losses than points. And I mean, if you have to really think about it, the best year to tank would be the year during this generational talent just coming out. I'm watching these Ducks. I'm suspicious of this team. Some Disney magic.
Those Ducks are flying to the top of the draft order.
Yeah, more like getting shot out of the sky by every team they play. They're just bad. And the Blues are streaking, but I was going to talk about that is what I meant to say during the power rankings section.
I have a player spotlight for the Blues also.
Go for it, yeah.
So I'm big on goalies. I think they're essential parts of the team if they're paid right. And Jordan Binnington is my player to watch for the Blues. Before last night, his numbers in the last 6 games, 5 wins, .933 goals against average, .933 save percentage. And those probably went up after last night because I saw he had a .69 or something save percentage.
9.6, yeah. 9.64.
He's allowed 11 goals on 172 shots in the 6-game win streak for the Blues. And he only started 5 of those games. And Binnington's back. He might have had a bad year last year, but I think he's back.
I remember certain parts of the year he started putting it together last year, but the Blues were just not that great. I still remain very bearish on the Blues as a team, but no one wants to hear a Debbie Downer all the time.
I think the Blues are a playoff team, but we could save that closer to playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it more when I pull up the power rankings, too. I just want to get through these last 3 games, and we can kind of go on to the teams we want to talk about. Gotcha. Avs beat the Sharks 3-2 in a shootout. Thought that was pretty cool. The 2 good teams going at it, 2 skilled teams going at it. Jason Robertson, he's just, on fire. I think he's top 3 in scoring right now.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's a beast. He really is.
I'll fact check that for you.
Yeah, he is. He's top 3. He has 29 points, and he's only behind McDavid and Draisaitl.
He's only 2 points behind Draisaitl, which is something to
hang your hat
strive for, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he has 14 goals, so he's putting it in the net. He's playing well. I mean, and that's credit to the Sharks, credit to the Avs. These teams are 2 really good teams this year. Going to a shootout is not surprising by any means to me. I just wish I watched that 3-on-3. I'm sure that 3-on-3 was crazy. Honestly,
it was probably electric.
Yeah. Moving on though, Sharks beat the Senators 5-1. These teams both suck. 6-11-1 for the Sens, 7-11-3 for the Sharks. Carlson remains to be one of the best defensemen here, just putting up more points. I forget his name. Kakkonen.
Kakkonen.
Yeah, Kakkonen. He played pretty well. In letting 1 goal in on 38 shots. My boy Couture had 2 points as well. Good game for the Sharks. Senators need to figure it out, though. They're starting to free fall here.
I think, in my opinion, I think the Sharks should try to dish Erik Karlsson at the deadline if they keep up this pace. And, this losing pace, I should say, because they could get in a haul for him, and a contender would definitely want a defenseman like Karlsson.
I think the only catch would be his contract. It's just
I agree.
And I don't remember the exact wording or penalty, but when teams sign long contracts and the players retire while still on the contract, I think the Sharks would still be penalized for signing that contract, or maybe the team that has him would be penalized. I can't remember, but you have a cap issue when you do that. That was part of the reason why when Hossa retired through medical reasons, it was like a loophole for the Blackhawks. They didn't have to worry about his contract anymore because it was like a forced thing versus a voluntary retirement. And what's his face? Oh my God, Duncan Keith. He retired while I think he affected the Blackhawks by that, but I think he also affected the Oilers with how the contracts work. So shitty.
Yeah, I don't think Keith wanted to be part of that shit show in Edmonton.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. He was not the defenseman
he was a shell of his Stanley Cup Norris winning self.
Yeah, it's sad to see. It really is. So let's just move on past them. Last game of the night, it was an action-packed night. I have no freaking idea why they chose Monday night to be this crazy night. But the Knights won 5-4 against the Canucks. Knights are 15-4-1. Canucks are 6-10-3. Canucks came back to make this interesting. I don't think anyone came back. I didn't actually watch the game, but I had it on in the second period where the Knights were winning. Pietrangelo had 3 points. Hughes had 2. William Carrier had two goals. So Knights continue to be legit. Canucks continue to suck.
Canucks actually had a 4-2 lead in that game.
Oh,
in the third period.
You're right, because Pat told me that this morning. I knew there was something.
Yeah, it was a 4-2 lead by the Canucks, and it was blown in the last 13 minutes of the game, and the Knights put in 3 goals.
Demko took that L.
Demko, he's struggling this year.
He wants that L.
I'm hoping that he gets a couple wins, but it's not looking good for Demko. 14 starts and 2 wins, and I don't know if he's the move out there in Vancouver.
Yeah, well, I guess they'll have to see. They kind of dug their grave, so they're gonna have to, deal with it. I guess we can move on to our teams. We've already been talking quite a while. It's gone pretty quick, honestly. I'll just go over some of the stuff that I have for the Pens, and I have some previews that I would like to do for the Pens, and that's about it for them. The Pens went 3-1 last week, 3-0 on their road trip. I think we should feel good as Pens fans. I think we started to find our identity as a team. We played Toronto, where we lost 5-2, which we can forget about that game. Minnesota was a 6-4 win, and the Pens looked pretty good, even though it was a high-scoring game. I think the crowning jewel of last week is the 3-0 win versus Winnipeg. Jari looked good. Everyone just was playing a sound, like, structured defensive game, taking our chances when we can and not, pushing it. And then lastly, on Malkin's 1,000th game, we beat Chicago 5-3, which was a great thing, and he actually scored. Part of that game, Malkin was surprised, and like all the other Penguins, by his son Nikita, who read out the starting lineup, which included Malkin in the locker room. It was actually kind of cute, and Malkin was getting like Gino himself was getting teary-eyed, and it was definitely a charged moment and good moment in his life, so I was happy to see that for him. The Penguins themselves actually paid tribute to Gino by copying his stretching routine as well during the pregame warm-ups. I'm not sure if you saw it, but they were like doing like V's with their legs. It was kind of hilarious. It's just hard to believe these dudes, like we mentioned Duncan Keith, they're just hitting milestones, like 1,000 games. It feels like just yesterday, like Malkin was lifting the cup with that Conn Smythe award, and I just feel like anyone that watched hockey during then could tell you how good Malkin was then, and it's just like he was part of the reason why I started liking hockey so much. He was actually the first Russian-born player to ever win the Conn Smythe, so I thought that was cool. And his stat line during that playoff run is the most Malkin stat line ever. He had 24 games played, 14 goals, 22 points, which is 36 points, and 51 penalty minutes. So, yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
I think Malkin's probably my favorite Penguin of all time. Maybe Lemieux.
At least that you've watched, right? Like,
yeah, like in my lifetime, he's one of my favorites. Like him, like Crosby's fun to watch, but I wouldn't call him my favorite.
Gensel. You don't like him either.
I like Gensel, but like he's not like my favorite Pen ever. Like
I understand Gino. Gino is just, I don't know. He's just fiery guy. He's very competitive. He's very emotional, but it's not like a bad thing. He taps into it for good.
Even when he's like being lazy on the ice, I feel like he like contributes.
It's because he can't. Yeah, he's earned the right to do that, even though he shouldn't. But he's earned the right to do it.
With 3 cups and a Conn Smythe under his belt, like he deserves it.
And to be fair, he's not been lazy at all this year. I've seen him chasing pucks, going into like the zones where you usually see Sid dig out pucks. Like he's starting to get that more 200-foot game kind of together.
The fire has been like lit underneath him again.
I hope he wants to win another cup, because I really would love to see these 3 win another cup before they all retire eventually. Father Time continues to win.
Honestly, since I'll say this right now, since my teams suck, if the Pens won, I'd be a little unhappy that like they won, but like that big 3, like they're untouchable.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely shoe-ins for Hall of Fame if they all win it. I'd say if they win it again. Yeah, I mean that was something to feel good. And on Sid, he actually won first star of the week. In 4 games played, he had 4 goals, 11 points. Another crazy Crosby fact: he has 100 more games with multiple points than 0. So he has 428 games with multiple points and only 328 with 0.
He's a beast.
Absolutely insane. And he's at like 1,200 something kind of games. So the rest of them, he scores a single point. So that's like 500-ish games. Just crazy. Absolutely like absurd that these players are this good. happy to be able to witness them, though.
Yeah, and happy they're on your team.
Yeah. My last note before I get into some of the previews for the Pens, I don't really want to talk about Kapanen anymore. Like, yeah, I guess I'll mention him briefly. I think we should just dump him off, or like just keep him, because if we make a trade in which we're looking for another project forward, we're gonna be fucked. Like we're not gonna win a cup. We need a proven guy, or at least someone who fits in a little bit better than he does. Like going for a project person, like, is not what the Pens have time for. They have to win now. They have to put their money on the table. Like
they have to pull like a. Sorry to bring the Blue Jackets into this, but they have to pull like a Yarmo and trade to win.
I mean, I'm even fine with giving an asset like a draft pick to get rid of him. Like, don't just sit there and hope that he'll get better. Come up with a solution yourself, is my thought. I don't think Kapanen's proven to be good enough to be in the Penguins team right now. He wouldn't be getting scratched if he was. And that's just $3.2 million. That's just, gone. It's not even gone. It's being like pissed away. And yeah.
I get your frustration.
Yeah, it's just annoying, and I don't even really want to talk about him at this point because like we've talked too much about him. He's not
playing. On him the last couple.
My last note was actually on Zucker because I wanted to give some props here, and McGinn, who I don't have as much on McGinn, but he's like Mr. like prove
all
me
around.
wrong. Yeah, like he has like 7 goals or 7 points in 7 games now. Like every time he shoots, it goes in, and I'm happy to see it. Like we need this kind of scoring. Good to see, but I wanted to really talk about Zucker. I think he's a good compliment on Gino's win. Jim Rutherford traded for him. I think he originally wanted him to complement Sid, but he's playing well with Gino. There was a goal I can remember when they played the Jets where they were really close to each other on the coming over the right wing through the blue line, and they made like this weird kind of back and forth pong pass, and Zucker was just opened up and then just clapped one home, and it was pretty sick. It was just a really odd kind of play. You don't really see that where they were passing and how close they were, but it was cool play. And honestly, Zucker has the talent that we need if we want to win. He needs to play as the top 6 talent that he has.
Yeah, I agree with that. Zucker, I was a little hesitant when the Pens reached out and traded for him. I was like, is he really the guy? And
me too.
And until this year, I've been thinking the same thing. But if he's being electric with Evgeny, I think it's worth the first round pick that they traded for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was Galchenyuk, Kalen Addison, that guy who Dunkles, I think, mentioned before, in the first round pick. Yeah, so in all, we also got rid of Galchenyuk, who sucked, which was a good thing.
Yeah, that was a
but
perk.
I agree. I always wanted more from him. I've been critical of him while he's been on the team, but he's also not been healthy while on the Pens.
Yeah,
which
that's why since they acquired him, I've been kind of hesitant because he's always on and off the injured reserve.
And maybe this year is the year, and that was 2020 we traded for him. And maybe this year he finally is healthy, has an off season to prep himself, play, and he's been in the system with the Pens for long enough. He just, takes that step forward that we need.
Crosby's greatness might have rubbed off on him a little bit.
Well, I think it'd be Gino's even at this point.
Or both even.
Yeah. And that's basically all my notes. I just have 3 games to preview this Thanksgiving Day weekend. So also happy Thanksgiving Day if you're listening to this on that day for some reason. I don't know.
I think
I also didn't shout out my retro jersey, the Robo pen.
It's pretty sexy.
Pencils on the back. I don't know if you can read that, but yeah, pretty sick.
Back to the Zucker thing though, you mentioned Brock McGinn.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a fan of him since he was on Carolina. I think that his impact in the Pens organization is underrated and underappreciated, and he knows how to get a clutch goal here and there. He knows how to make a play in the corner, dig the puck out, and like break it out, get to open ice, make a play. I'm high on McGinn right now.
I was definitely happy that we signed him and at an affordable rate. It wasn't he's on our team for another 3 years with $2.75 million. So it's like affordable rate
steal
for a dude that's put up 22 points in 64 games last year. So that's like 30-ish points. I mean, he's kind of on that track now, and I that's just enough. That's the kind of we need. We need a defensive player who can score if needed, and he kind of does fit that role. The Pens play 3 games this week. They play Calgary, who we kind of discussed earlier. They are actually 3-5-2 in their last 10. They beat the Pens before the season, but that to me kind of feels like it's dated. It's like ancient history at this point. The Pens since then have both went on lengthy losing streaks of 7 games. I feel like the Flames have started to rally back, as you alluded to earlier, but this Penguin team, if they have truly found their identity, I think they're going to be a tough team to beat, and I think they could also shut down the Flames forwards like Huberdeau, and I just think
Audrey.
And I think that game earlier was not a good representation of what the Pens are now. Russ broke out of his goal scoring drought the other day, which he definitely needs to contribute more. If I had to guess for a score of this game, I think it'd be like a 2-1 game that leads to like 2 empty net goals, or an empty net goal for the Pens that lead to like a 3-1 victory, or maybe even a 4-2 victory.
Yeah, sorry. I zoned out for a second.
It's all good. You don't have to give me numbers. It's okay.
Yeah, I think the Flames will put up a good, like, medium scoring game, like 2-2, maybe an overtime win for either team. This one's hard to call for me, but the way the Pens, like, they went 3-1, they beat the Jets, who I think are better than the Flames, and if they could beat the Jets, I think they could beat the Flames. I think
that's exactly my reasoning.
The pesky players, though, for the Flames, you can't let them get under your skin, like Kadri, for example, and take bad penalties because of, like, whatever goes on the ice. And if the Pens avoid the penalties, I think they'll win this game.
I agree, for sure. That's staying on the box is definitely important against any of these teams, and getting their power play going. I think that was a major difference in the last week. Power play for the Pens actually started connecting. That game's on Wednesday the 23rd, and their next game was after that. Is then Thanksgiving, but on Friday the 25th they play the Philadelphia Flyers, who are 7-4.
Boo.
Yeah, this is the first game against the filth across the state. The Flyers are 2-6-2 in their last 10. They're on a 6-game losing streak. Their offense has shrunk back to what it's expected to be, and their defense is letting Carter Hart out to dry, and Felix Sanderstrom. They're just getting left out to dry. The Pens are playing a team that has this emotional tie, though, so I expect a high-energy game. With that being said, I still want the Pens to run away with this one. 5-1. Go Pens.
I was thinking 4-0 Pens, but, like, you can't count Torts out ever, like, in any game. Yeah, I know he's just a coach and he's not a player, but he knows how to get under your skin as a coach, and he'll rally his guys up, get them all fired up for this game. And Pens shouldn't take the Flyers lightly, but I still think the Pens will win.
And if they do take them lightly, I can see an even more extreme, like a 7-4 game kind of thing, where it just gets out of hand for both teams.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
The last game that the Pens plays against Toronto on Saturday, which I might be there for that one. I'm not sure. My brother has the tickets. I might go with him. Not exactly sure. I mentioned before the Leafs are 10-5-5. This is the third time they'll play the Pens in 15 days. So if it does feel like deja vu, it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, didn't they just play the Leafs?
Yeah. This is the last meeting of the season for these two teams, unless somehow Toronto gets past the first round of playoffs. I guess they could play
first and second round.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could play, right? With the wild card.
Yeah, with the wild card and division winner.
Yeah, so maybe. Extremely unlikely, I'd say, though.
Yeah, I'd say both of those teams are in the top 3.
I'm not going to go. Yeah, and I'm not going to go super in depth on them because last week I basically said the blueprint to beat them. It's what they did to the Jets. Shut them down. Take your chances when you frustrate them. Don't get in the box, especially against this team.
Oh, yeah.
With that being said, I'm not really sure. I still think it's a 4-3 game. I'd hope to go to the Pens.
Yeah, that one's tough to call, but I've gone the Pens twice, so I'm going to say the Leafs win that one.
Yeah, and obviously I'm a little bit of a homer, but I really do think the Pens are that good right now.
And Pens are at home, and PPG Paint gets loud.
It is true. That's a definite boon or boost to them for being able to play at home. If you want to go into the Jackets, I called this section the artillery.
The artillery, I like it.
Yeah.
We are the fifth line over here.
Yeah. I kind of did the similar thing with the Pens, how I previewed some of their games. I'm not sure if you did any of that.
I'm not going to do much of a preview, but I'll do some recap.
Go for it, yeah.
But last 4 games of CBJ have resulted in a 3-1 record. They must have got the message for Chicken of the Week last week. They only had 1 loss, and it was a 6-1 loss to Detroit. And Boone Jenner, he's a player I want to spotlight. He's been a monster recently. He's led the team to a few victories with the help from his line mate, Johnny Gaudreau. I know that's his real name. And Boone Jenner has 6 points in the last 4 games. He has sparked a fire under the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that connection between him and Gaudreau is just both of them have 6 points in 4 games, actually. And they have been sparking a fire under that team with defensive injuries. They're going out there winning games. Their goaltending, a little sus, but Tarasov the other night, he's their 3rd stringer right now, had 47 saves.
Yeah.
And carried them to a win against the Panthers. The supplemental scoring has been boosted for the Columbus Blue Jackets recently. A couple of names I'd like to mention, Igor Chinikov and Kent Johnson. Both are rookies this year. And actually, Chinikov might not be. But Kent Johnson, I think he's a sleeper for Rookie of the Year, the Calder Trophy. He has 9 points right now. And that's 2 behind Matty Beniers from the Seattle Kraken. And he's been getting assists, putting the puck in the net. And this Blue Jackets team has 5 rookies with at least a point. And that shows to the youth of the squad, the 5 rookies with at least a point, shows that they're slowly developing. And then another player I'd like to mention is Sean Corrali. He's been a monster on the dot, has 4 goals in as many games, and has been an all-around good player for the Columbus Blue Jackets this season. Especially that brings me to my next point, is the IR situation for the Jackets. This IR looks similar to Washington's IR, and it's definitely what I'm trying to say is you could build a team basically just off this IR. You got Voracek hurt, you got Elvis hurt, you got Zach Werenski hurt, you got Patrick Laine hurt, you got Adam Boquist hurt, Jake Bean, Justin Danforth, Blankenberg, all the guys who have made an impact for the Jackets this season. And to see them getting some wins is really reassuring. They have 3 upcoming games this week against the Canadiens, the Islanders, and at the Predators. And I think they could win 1 or 2 of those, to being realistic.
I agree.
Canadians, they should be able to beat. The Islanders, it's at home the day after Thanksgiving. Hopefully the Islanders have some like turkey hangover and we could kick the shit out of them. But at the Predators, that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I would like to shout out Johnny Hockey as well, just because I thought he looked great these last few games. And I actually heard on an interview on Spitting Chicklets that Matthew Tkachuk kind of talked to Johnny about like how he chose going to CBJ for it like selection. And he said, like, Johnny, like, kind of told him that, like, at this point in his career, he, like, I don't think he's necessarily concerned with winning, but he really, really wanted to be in this situation with the Jackets. So,
in the rebuilding situation, or
I just, like, I don't know if it's like he just wants to be close to family or whatever it is, but he said basically Johnny was at peace with his choice at the Jackets. Maybe that means
that's good to hear.
Yeah, maybe that means that he doesn't really care about, like, I don't want to say that because every professional athlete wants to win, but like it's not his primary concern. Sean Corrali definitely is heating up. He's also from Ohio, isn't he?
So, I think so.
So they probably like him. I think he's from like Dublin.
Signed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why they signed him because he might. I don't know if he played for the Junior Blue Jackets, but I know Roslovic did.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll do a quick Google search.
And so I kind of have notes on exactly what you were talking about. In they have had 28 different skaters play on their roster this year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Which is insane. I mean, if you're
and 3 goalies.
Typical roster is what, 23 is like 22, the actual roster
22
spots?
Or 23. Yeah, it's 23
for roster spots. So that's a lot. Like that's typically. You typically don't go through that many players, usually. I do think that their goaltending kind of has sucked, though. They've been in a lot of high-scoring contests last week, like 5-4 win, 6-4 win, 6-1 loss, 5-3 win. It's definitely offenses coming to bat, but they need to buckle down.
Yeah, that's going to be tough when they're missing their 3 best defenders and Gavrikov's got the first line duties. Like Gavrikov really thrives at that second line pairing, big hitter, blocking shots, not so much an offensive threat, but he's clutch. Like he comes in with clutch goals, but you really need that like top 2 D pairing of like Werenski, who's out for the year, and Boquist.
I mean, shit, maybe they told them that they're going to fake a bunch of... Maybe the front office told Johnny that they're going to fake a bunch of injuries and get Connor Bedard. He's like, shit, I'll be around for that. The NHL already told us we're getting him. I was like, oh, shit. Hell yeah.
That's one last thing on the Blue Jackets, like trade bait for the Jackets. I think they have 3 solid options at goaltender right now, and you don't need to hang on to all 3. But it's just, will there be a team willing to take the risk on one of their 3 young, middle-aged goaltenders?
Young, middle-aged.
Yeah, like some of them are young.
I think
Tarasov's young. Elvis is pretty young.
I think Korpisalo, too, has been talked. He's been talked about last year.
Yeah.
I'll give my last sense here, I guess, on CBJ. They play Montreal first. I think that they're going to win. If the Jackets want to win, they have to play well goalie in the net. So, and I think they will. I think they're starting to catch, especially with that win against the Panthers. I think that's a big win for them. Oh
yeah.
And I forget, it's Tarasov, right? He had like 40-some saves, like 47.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win a 3-2 game against Montreal. Against the Islanders, I think it's going to be a 2-0 loss.
I could see it. Islanders play sound defense.
Yeah, and they actually... Holy shit. Oh, fuck, Roland. They actually played earlier this month. Sorry, Roland just touched something and it fell. They actually played earlier this month. And the Jackets had the lead 3 times before eventually losing in OT. I expect a really low scoring game in that one. Maybe the Jackets even come up 2-0 against them, so who knows?
maybe even 1-0.
Yeah.
You never know. Jackets, they either score or they don't.
And their last game you said was Nashville, right?
Yeah, at Nashville.
And they beat them earlier 5-3, but the Preds have been kind of winning some games. We'll see if the Preds have some of their slumping stars break out of their slump. It could be a close game, but I do think that they do break out of their slumps here, and it's a 4-1 win for the Preds.
Yeah, playing in Nashville is tough. Like, it's crazy down there in Nash Vegas.
Yeah, I remember when the Pens played, I kind of started hating Nashville with their bullshit.
They copied Detroit with the catfish.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of an octopus.
I didn't like them. They their goal chance, like making fun of players. I was like, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah, they know how to get an opposing team shaken up a little bit.
Yeah. And that's all I have for them. I do think it might be a rough week for the Jackets, but they should continue to build of what they have. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be a rough season, but
yeah, we gotta boycott them.
No, I'm not boycotting them.
Yeah, I like hockey too much to actually boycott, but I also don't have tickets, so I guess doesn't matter then.
Yeah, same.
If you're good, I can move it on over to the Panthers here.
Yeah, let's go to the Panthers then.
I mean, if it's not Penguins, it's the Panthers. The Panthers are on a 3-game losing streak and have looked bad. They lost 6-4 to Dallas, and really the highlight of this game was Wedgwood. He got stretchered off after some weird issue with his lower back. He's considered day-to-day, so I hope he's doing better. He's having an average start to the year, but he started to feel like he was figuring it out.
I was eyeing him up in fantasy puck.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely had a good start.
Yeah, and sucks to, I mean, like lower back, like it sounds like spine, and being a goalie, I think he like lunged out, so it could have been something, but that's scary for sure.
Yeah, hopefully he recovers.
They then lost 5-4 to Calgary, and Huberdeau's returned to South Florida, and he ended up winning the game in the shootout as well. So pretty poetic for him, and honestly, that's like a hockey script. Like if you write a hockey movie, that's how it works. Like the guy comes back, scores a goal against the bad guys
in a shootout.
Yeah,
nonetheless.
And we've mentioned their last game, 5-3 against Columbus. I actually have some concerns about the roster makeup of this team. I feel like Bobrovsky is just proving like his contract is an albatross and it is awful.
I'd agree.
3.63 goals against, 888 save, 4-5 is his record. He's just looking bad. I also think like with how the roster's made up, they made this huge trade for Tkachuk. In that trade, so they traded Mackenzie Weegar, Huberdeau, I think a 4th-round pick and one other guy in a trade. And I was just wondering, like, and that was to Calgary, and I was just wondering, like, if that's like an overpay. Like, Mackenzie Weegar hasn't looked great in Calgary, and they both got signed to huge contracts, so that's a lot of money the Panthers didn't have. Okay, here's the actual terms before I get into it. Tkachuk and a 4th-round pick, 2025, for Huberdeau, Weegar, Cole Schwindt? I don't know. AHL guy. And a 1st-round pick.
Ooh.
So, yeah, they sent some substantial capital to
like Huberdeau and a pick for Tkachuk.
And Weegar at the time was considered like a top 4 defenseman. I mean, he probably still is. He's just playing butt. He's on my fantasy team, but he is not. I mean, it's just like I'm wondering, like, even if he's not playing well there, he was playing well in Florida. And they kind of dismantled some of the roster chemistry, but like Tkachuk's also scoring at a great pace, and he has 25 points in 17 games. So it's just like, is it an overpay? Maybe not. Huberdeau makes $10.5 million starting next year, so it's like maybe it's not really an overpay, but
maybe it was more like a cap move for the Panthers.
I think it was. But that doesn't necessarily make the team better, and I think that's where my concerns are with this team. They have 2 games this week. Boston, 16-2. They have a long time to the game plan until they play them, so figure it out.
I don't know. Boston, this brings up Boston again. So I got a trivia question for you, Dave.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I did a Google search earlier while we were talking about Boston. What is the most wins in a season, and who is the team?
Is that 60? And isn't that Tampa the other last year, or is it 62 with Tampa?
62 in Tampa.
Yeah.
But they don't have the best record in history.
Probably Detroit. 64 wins or something like that.
Detroit also had 62 wins.
And
they had 13 losses and a tie. They're technically number 1 in the 95-96 season.
Huh.
And then the Lightning in 18-19 tied them with 62 wins. Do you think Boston surpasses that?
I mean, it's tough because they're obviously on pace to do even better than that.
They're on pace to go they're 16-2. Let me pull out my calculator for this one.
There you go. 82 games. They've played 20, or not 20.
18. So 82
like
minus
season,
18
right?
Equals 64. 64 divided by 3. Well, wait.
Wait a second.
Math
is actually hard.
I can't even use a calculator.
Divide 20
64 minus 6. So let's say they lose 2 games every 18 games the rest of the season. They're on pace to be 52 or 74-8 at the end of the year.
Yeah, and obviously that is unreasonable. They're gonna lose more games than that. But I do think they have a great shot at beating it. I really do.
It would be fun to watch, honestly.
We gotta ruin it here with the Panthers.
Who do you got in that game?
I do have Boston winning. I think they need to take away their scoring chances. The Panthers need to take away Boston's scoring chances as a key to victory. They're often out shooting these guys, but they really need to have better chances as well. Got to shut down Pastrnak. He has 28 points so far.
Good luck.
The Bruins are also scoring at a 4.11 goals for and only allowing 2.06 goals against. Kind of insane. I do have the Flyers. The Bruins beating the Panthers 3-2. And the Panthers only play 2 games. They play St. Louis as well. St. Louis is on a 6-game heater here. They beat the Avs and the Knights in that stretch. If they can, and that was against the only good teams. They played sub 500 teams. I don't even remember who, but they did beat them, which is important. You got to beat those teams if you're going to be good. The Blues' weakness so far is lack of scoring. Kyrou has 6 goals on their team, and he leads the team in scoring. So
Torrey Krug just went down for the Blues too,
and that's not good because they have a poor PK and their defense kind of sucks. Their goaltending is playing well. I mean, nothing stellar yet. Like you said, you would like to see Binnington do well, and he definitely has the chance here to get going, but this team needs him.
Yeah, Tarasenko's coming back from injury, I think, too. So that'll give him a little scoring punch. But I think Florida will beat the Blues.
I agree. I think they need to take advantage of only having 2 games this week and really come out with some desperation and energy. I actually think they're going to win a 3-1 game.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah, that's really my last note here. I kind of like doing these in the beginning of the week because we get to kind of preview the week and see how we do.
Agreed.
Last week, I don't even really remember. I definitely called a high-scoring game versus Toronto, and I think Minnesota, but I don't really remember the other ones.
The Pens, I think I wrote it down. I didn't remember the I had them going 2-2.
I stashed my notes.
I had them going 2-2, and they went 3-1. had them losing to Toronto and Winnipeg and winning against the Wild in Chicago. Winnipeg was a shocker for the Pens, but
they put it together that game for sure. You
got week, anything? I think the Pens will go 2-1, but
I think they go 3-0, motherfucker.
All right.
You got anything for Moot's Matrix or anything like that? Other than that, I'm pretty much spent.
Well, I have a couple other notes. If you want to get into the Hart scoring right now, I think that's McDavid's race to lose. That's like basically all I got on that.
This is the trophies, the rewards. That's the most points, right?
Yeah. And like surprise scores for me right now are Jason Robertson and Nick Suzuki, both of them with 27 and 23 points respectively. Yeah. And I think they're just surprise scorers. They're heating up. They could maybe make a push for like 5th in the scoring race.
I mean, Carlson's up there too. He has 29 points, so
true.
It'd be crazy to see a defenseman win it, but I doubt he does. But
that would be awesome. But that's all I got for the Hart. Vezina, I have 3 goalies to watch for this. I have Linus Ullmark. He has a goals against average of 1.89, .937 save percentage, 1 shutout. Connor Hellebuck, who plays for the Jets. Linus Ullmark plays for the Bruins, in case you didn't know
Ullmark's goals against went up a little bit too because of last night, I think. I have 1.96 on his, but...
Okay, I wrote these before the games yesterday.
So. Yeah. But he's still doing well. I'd agree. He's same with these, but
like he's up there. His stats are good, and Vanacek. And then I have a watch list of Jake Ottinger, Igor Shesterkin, and Ilya Sorokin.
I like it. I really do like Ottinger as a choice. I think he's a young goalie that we'll be seeing a lot of. Ullmark is just interesting. I never thought he was this good, but apparently he is. I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe it's the team around him, but like
I mean, he has
you got to give him credit right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has the individual stats. So you could be a lot worse.
And then last trophy I want to discuss is the Calder. I called it Calder's Cookies, the Calder Trophy. But I think this is Matty Bernier's race to lose. He has 11 points, but there's a couple other guys I wanted to mention. Matthias Michelli, he has 10 points. He's playing for the Yotes right now. He's been a good young rookie at the beginning of the season. He's been slumping a little bit lately. Kent Johnson for the Jackets has 9 points. I talked about him previously. He's only 2 points behind Bernier's, and I think he's got a good shot to keep producing. And then Jake Sanderson, big defenseman, filling in for Thomas Chabot at the Senators. Mm-hmm. I think he has 9 points as well. And there's a couple other that are right behind him, but the Calder race will be interesting this year. There's a lot of good young talent.
I like Sillinger as well. He's a rookie, isn't he? Yeah, I like him.
He played last year. I don't know if he's considered rookie.
Because that might be why I remember him. I liked him. Thought he was going to do better this year.
He was hyped up this year, and I don't know. I think he's a good player. He just needs to develop a little more.
Let's see. Yeah, he did play last year. He had 31 points. That's not bad.
No, not bad for a rookie.
Honestly, I haven't been tracking rookies really, besides Bernier's.
And then, lastly, for the hockey talk, I started this tradition last week. I want to give out the chicken of the week. And I got props for this one.
The chicken comes out. The cock.
All right. So
this is the what?
This is like basically the worst performance of the week. And today I have a couple things to say. I'm going to give out the chicken of the week. Here it is for those viewing on YouTube. To these guys right here.
And those guys are the Sabres. He's putting on a hat.
The Buffalo Sabres.
Wow, you have even a coat. Damn, dude.
I think
a koozie for them.
The Sabres are on an 8-game losing streak, and they just need to have a beer, sit back, relax, get their shit together, and win some fucking hockey games.
Yeah, I feel like they do this, like, maybe not every year, but every other year. They do really well. Everyone's like, oh, shit, is this the year? And then it's like, no.
It's a typical Buffalo hot start.
Yeah. I think I called that out, like, the second episode or something about that. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think the 8-game losing streak, they deserve it this week, and they just need to win some hockey games.
Yeah, they need to get back on the right track. They actually play tonight. I guess we can finish on that if you're got everything. These 2 games tonight. Sabres play the Canadiens at 7:00. 7-11 are the Sabres. 9-8-1 the Canadiens. Rangers play Kings, which is a matchup of that Stanley Cup long ago.
Oh yeah, forgot about
10:30. The Rangers are 9-6-4. Kings are 11-8-2. I actually did say I was going to do the power rankings. Like I probably should do that. We can finish on that if you're cool with that.
Yeah. You care if I get the Matrix in real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So today's game is going to be one that I played with David before. And I think I'm going to just keep it on the hockey subject. And last week, what game did I choose?
I think it was the game you're speaking of.
It was Slapshot. Yeah. But I'm going to keep it on the hockey for 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to throw back to the NHL 3-on-3 arcade.
Oh man.
It's one of the only games.
5-star here.
One of the only games I've ever gotten every single achievement for on the Xbox. And hold on, let me find it.
That game's just awesome. I mean, the power-ups, the bullshit, the big heads with the... I remember coming after school and playing that game all the time.
Yeah, I
actually missed that game
for hours.
Yeah, that was fun.
You could basically, for those that have never played the game before, even though it's 8 years old probably at this point, maybe older.
It's probably older, yeah.
It was a 3-on-3 hockey game, and you got to choose from a list of all-star players at the time. And basically, it was it first to 5 or was it just time?
Yeah, I thought it was either that or 3 periods, but you might be right. I think it was first to a certain goal.
Yeah, but basically you'd get power-ups. There was rocket shot, speed skates, and depending on how people. You could freeze people, you could check them over the boards.
Yeah, that was fun.
There were no penalties, no offsides. It was great.
Tiny rink too. Tiny rink.
Why I enjoyed it, I love hockey. I love playing games with my friends, and this one was a casual one that was pretty easy to pick up if you played any NHL game before.
It was blitz football or slugfest, where it's not as necessarily gross and graphic and violent like that, but it was just bullshit. You just had fun, cutting loose and using the trick shot button to score a fucking crazy goal. I do remember playing Henry a lot.
Oh,
good old
yeah.
Hank.
Yeah.
You remember playing him a lot in that game? Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
But
that game, I do think that game is probably better played in casual. I think that's a fun game.
Definitely a casual game, and maybe even cooperative if you have
definitely
3 guys that you want to play with.
It definitely is cooperative. I would agree.
I think it was 2v2 was the max. Maybe that could be a con for it.
I don't see any cons. I think that game's a 5-star game, and I won't be changed. I won't be swayed otherwise.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 4.98 myself because they haven't updated it or re-released it yet.
Yeah, they're not gonna sell it back to us so we can buy it again. How fun!
Yeah, they're not gonna pull the Skyrim, but that's a different game. We'll talk about that one eventually.
Yeah, when you finish it.
Yeah, if I finish it.
You ready for power rankings then, brother?
Yeah,
but we'll make it. I'll make it quick since we've been doing this weekly. Makes it kind of easier. Here it is. New. You see it well?
It's good.
I'm not sure if it's popping up on my screen, so I'm not sure if it'll be transmitted for YouTube or whatever. But whatever. I'm just gonna start at the top, go down, mention any teams you feel you need to. But in the elite bracket, Boston, Vegas, Anaheim, Avalanche, and the Devils. Devils 13-game win streak. Bruins on a 7. Avs sneaky. I mean, no one's really been talking about them. They're 11-5-1, 3-game heater. Can never count out the defending champs. Second bracket, I got the Stars, the Leafs, the Hurricanes, the Lightning, the Islanders, the Kraken, the Penguins, the Jets, the Oilers, and then the Kings. My highlights really are the Canes. They're on a 3-game losing streak. I actually might have been more inclined to put them down lower if their record wasn't so good. I think the Islanders are definitely on the come up. I couldn't put the Pens rightfully in front of the Kraken after they beat them twice, so thought that was fair. Also on a 3-game heater, that's supposed to be the Penguins. That was not the. Here you go. It was not them.
Easy correction.
Yeah. Jets, same thing. I think they're a legit team. Oilers getting towards that fringe spot where I'm not sure they're going to make playoffs. Kings, maybe I could have done a little better on, but I feel like they're in playoff position. The fringe category got the oh my god, Detroit. God damn it! Why am I wanting to call them the Maple Wheels?
That would be the Red Wings alternate universe team.
Yeah, seriously. The Red Wings. I feel like they're a fringe team. I don't know what I'm going to get from them, so I can't rate them higher. Panthers. I mean, I've 3-game losing streak. They're just not playing well. They're in their division. They're a fringe team. The Rangers. I feel like the same thing. Fringe team. Played well last year. Not sure what's going on. The Blues, though, are surging up towards this playoff spot. I expect them to go higher, actually. I feel like Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames have been hovering at this spot in the standings. Same thing with the Predators. The Flyers are starting to free fall. I should probably even put them lower. But
I agree.
I feel like that might be an oversight. Same with the Wild. I feel like they could even be in the bad section. The teams are starting to kind of get separated now between the playoff teams and not playoff teams. Like Capitals 4-game losing streak, I think they're bad. We've talked about their IR issues. I just don't think they're putting it together this year. Sorry, Matt, but the CBJ, I think they're in the bad category. Same thing with Chicago. Yeah. Same thing with all these teams. I mean, they have not moved. The Sharks, Canucks, Buffalo. They might even be in the hunt for Bedard next power rankings.
Yeah, you never know. Chicken of the week.
Yeah, exactly. And for the Bedard sweepstakes here, I got Coyotes, Senators, Ducks. Ducks, I've mentioned they're doing awful. The Sens lost to a team in the bad bracket, and they lost bad in that bracket, or in that game against the Sharks. And I think the compete levels there for the Coyotes are just not talented enough. This team's not that good.
Are you saying the Yotes or the Sens?
The Yotes. The Sens are talented. They're just not putting it together right now. I don't know what's going on.
I think the Yotes are fighting for, I think you said it last week, fighting for trades all around.
Yeah, I'm sure they want their roster spots. They want to show that, hey, I'm going to try. I only get this chance possibly once in my life. Same thing with some of the young guys on the Jackets. It's you might only get one shot at the NHL, and this might be it. Go fucking play. Go play your heart out. Play well. Go earn yourself a contract. Go earn yourself millions of dollars.
Exactly.
I don't got anything else here. If that's it, we can wrap up. I appreciate anyone who stuck it this far and listen with us. I got 2 interesting games on schedule tonight. You won't be able to hear me say go watch them, but you should. Tomorrow, the Pens play. I'm definitely watching that game. And Thursday is Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And Matt, thanks for coming on again. I like having you on here. We're definitely shooting shit, hockey shit a lot more. And sorry that Ryan wasn't here, but next time I'm sure he'll make it. He had to do something for his job, so can't fault him there.
He's a busy man.
Exactly. And like that, I appreciate everyone. Thank you for listening to episode 5 of Puckin Dirty. Have a good one. Peace.